Hey, Deb Evans from Deb Evans Consulting here with some great franchise friends, Marianne O'Connell and Paul Pickett. We are going to talk a little bit about giving back and charities, and it's part of the season, isn't it, guys?
Absolutely.
It's that time of year.
It's that time of year. It's the first day of winter, and it's not feeling very wintry here in Houston because it's going to be a high of 70 and 80 degrees tomorrow. But hey, it's winter and it's the season. So I'm going to go ahead and share just a little bit about what I like to do as far as charities and giving back. And I've got a favorite app. I know Marianne's heard about it a lot. Paul's probably heard me talk about it too. It's charitymiles.org, and it's an app that I download. And every time I walk, I bike, I run, I kayak. If I were to water ski or snow ski, I could use it too. It calculates how far I've gone. It keeps track of that, and it gives to the charity that I choose within the 30 charities within the app. So today, if I'm thinking about somebody that's suffering from cancer or arthritis or Alzheimer's, I'm walking and feeling good for them because I'm donating my miles. I don't have to pay for the app. I don't have to donate any funds. I just move, and it helps me physically. And then in April of 2016, I am going to walk 39 miles for the Avon Breast Cancer Foundation. So I'll be getting a lot of miles in and doing a little bit of giving back then. So Marianne, you were pretty busy last week with your giving back. Tell us about that. What were you doing?
I was. It's an annual event for me. I actually close the offices down for 4 days in the middle of December every year for the last, I think this was my 15th year, working with a local charity called Share Ourselves in their Adopt a Family program. So it really started for me after the 9/11/2001 attacks in New York. And a bunch of us who were Habitat for Humanity volunteers were kind of grounded. We couldn't travel anywhere for our business. We got to know each other better, and I got invited to participate in this program that started 48 years ago with two women making peanut butter sandwiches to help some of the economically distressed families in the Costa Mesa area. This year, it has grown to where we served over 1,500 families, over 4,600 children, providing Christmas to the poorest of the poor in our community and the neighboring community of Santa Ana. I found it one that no matter how hard you think things are, in the depths of the recession in 2008, 9, and 10, no matter how bad things were, when you read the stories of the people surrounding you in your community, you realize that every bad day you're having is a great day. So it keeps me humble. It reminds me of how fortunate I am, and that the world of franchising provides me enough latitude that I can take a week off every year to help put together this huge Christmas.
Nice. Very good. And you had a guest, and Paul Pickett is with us here and talking about franchise friends and family. Paul, you actually went out to visit Marianne and assisted, didn't you?
We did. We had a wonderful time. We went out to visit Marianne to just spend some quality personal time together, and chose the same week to visit California that Marianne was in the middle of her week, devoted week of giving. She gives, of course, year-round, but this was a very special week for her, and we were line volunteers. I was a poll watcher and helped. It was a blast. Helped with all of the intake of all of the unbelievably generous donations that the community gave to help these families in need, and managed two sections of the donated items, and made some great friends, had a blast. And it's so good to just roll your sleeves up and feel like you're doing something. It's wonderful to write checks. It's wonderful to give donations to organizations who need it, and that's always very beneficial to them. And of course, on a personal level, just makes you feel good about what you do, and all your hard work and success can be shared with others, paying it forward, as they say. But there's something very different about actually being there, as I said, getting dirty, pulling tape up off the floor at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
packaging, helping package this stuff up, and knowing that the generosity of the community is actually truly being implemented. So it was a wonderful day. I met some new friends, hung out with good long-term old friends, and had a great time.
Nice, nice. Oh, I wish I were there. I did see the pictures of the two of you, and you look like you're having way too much fun getting dirty and giving back. So,
I think that's an important part to remember, that volunteering can be a lot of fun, especially if you have your heart into it. And one of the things that I started to reflect on was that why is it that so many of my franchise friends are volunteers? You're doing your piece. We have so many who come out for Franchising Gives Back. I think a lot of it is it's inherent in the nature in what we do. If franchisors are all about helping other people achieve their dreams, then why can't we help other people in our community or around the world achieve their basic dreams? Sometimes it's just having a roof over their head and having enough to eat. So I do think that this is something that runs pretty deep in the franchising community. Paul, I know, having met some of the Wild Birds Unlimited franchisees, that they do it on the store level. Can you tell us more about how giving permeates your system?
Well, I think that if you are going to be a true leader, you're going to take your time and energy and resources and spread that around. There's a line from a favorite movie that says, money, pardon my expression, is a lot like manure. It does no one any good unless you spread it around and encourage young things to grow. And that is, it's true. It needs to be given back. And our franchisees, of course, they join our system because they want to have a sustainable business, they want to do something they love, but they also want something that they can give back to their community. And in their case, it's actually bringing people and nature together. And so how they do that from a business standpoint is very similar to how they do it on a personal standpoint. And they do want to do both, people and nature together. I would challenge anyone to go into a Wild Birds Unlimited store and not find on the counter a change can for their local Audubon Society or a wildlife rehabilitation center. But also, I had this great opportunity a couple of weeks ago. We're opening a new store in Myrtle Beach, and I had flown into the Charleston market and visited our two stores there. Both of them had volunteered to be drop centers for Toys for Tots. And it was a wonderful thing because they actually inspired the community to come into their store and drop off toys for kids who needed those toys, who didn't have presents to open or didn't have the resources to enjoy the holiday to its fullest, and then inspired these people to come in by giving away product to anybody who made a donation. And when I was there, I happened to be there while there was a live broadcast of the opportunity, and our franchisee in Mount Pleasant, who I'll share the video with you guys later, who the next morning, she came in that night, the next morning she delivered her baby at 7 a.m. So, I mean, it was so funny because she said, these toys are not for this tot, as you pointed to her very distended abdomen. But she made such a big deal about giving back and making sure that everyone in the community had something. It was incredibly inspiring. We also have franchisees who give scholarships for Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. It really spans a wide range of efforts that they give back to, and then we corporately, of course, give back to. We're sponsors of the Cornell Laboratories Backyard Bird Count, and do a lot of charitable giving as a whole system. that falls down into the hands of our franchisees too, and they really follow suit.
And I think that's really important. It, first of all, sets a culture. If you as a franchisor are willing to go above and beyond and give, you're not going to be seen as the police, as the taker, as the guy that's out for something. But you said something before about using, the Toys for Tots or the Audubon, and it draws people in. There's a difference between giving back and selflessness, and I hate to quote my philosophy from Friends, but they have an episode where Phoebe is challenged, or somebody challenges Phoebe to give back without anything coming back to you. And the bottom line is she finds it's almost impossible, because either you feel good, you've done good, it comes back. So if your brand gets press from it, if your franchisees get more business from it, if there is a reward that comes back to you, that's not a bad thing. We're not talking about selfless devotion. We're talking about doing some good in the world and having that associated with being a franchisee or franchisor, a franchise supplier, that our sector of the business community is just seen as something more than profit-driven. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you brought something up in the very beginning. I think in our sector in franchising, you just see so much of the giving back to the communities, but giving back to each other. Mary Ann, you mentor and give back your time so often to other suppliers or franchisees, and Paul, I know you do the same thing. So I'm very proud to be part of franchising. And it does feel really good to be able to have that opportunity that you can close your office for a couple of days if you want to. I can go out and do my Charity Miles walk at 9 a.m. or 11 a.m., wherever my calendar and my time fits for the day. So it's a fun place to be.
Deb's Charity Miles have a wonderful ability to guilt trip the heck out of me. Move occasionally. And you know what? There's another way of giving back. And thanks for the compliment, Deb. I am a firm believer that there is not a human being on the planet who is where they are simply by being an island. It was a lot of people who helped all of us get where we are, and we do need to honor that and give other people the opportunity for no other reason than we're mortal. We won't be around forever, especially as I'm coughing here. We won't be around forever, and we need to lay the groundwork to bring that next generation of people up, whether it's in franchising or within your community. Deb, when you were with some of the other brands, what did you folks do?
A lot of it was not necessarily writing the check, but trying to find events that we could participate in, similar to Dress for Success. We would hold a day where we'd ask employees or friends of employees or the community to bring in things for women that they needed to be able to go out for that interview. So typical events like that. And Toys for Tots. When I was with Computer Explorers, it was all about the kids, and so we did a lot of things for children, donating our time and toys and things.
Paul, anything you want to add to that?
The only thing is just to reiterate that the franchising community is truly made up of some of the most generous people I have ever had the honor of working with. It's so giving. It's giving of intellectual capital. It's giving in ways to help people who need help. I mean, if you're, as we are Facebook friends with franchising people, you see so often a number of walks for whether it's breast cancer or arthritis, as we've mentioned before, or Molly Maids and their promotion of assisting domestic abuse. And it's just amazing what we do collectively, and it's just awe-inspiring for me. It's an incredible group to be associated with, and an honor again.
I agree, especially when a friend comes thousands of miles to spend vacation time and is okay with the fact that I put him to work for free. So I think that's pretty cool. what I'd like to end this with is, first of all, to talk mostly to the emerging brands, because when you're an emerging brand, you have so much work to do. And it might seem that this is something that you have to wait until later down the pike when you're more established, but this really helps set your culture. And there are ways, there are small ways. This doesn't have to be moving mountains. A single day. Great Clips used to do a deal where one day a year you could wear denim if you made a contribution to the Susan B. Komen Foundation. So it was easy and relaxed for the rest of us, and especially California, because we consider that uniform dress, denim, that we could actually do it, and you paid a small contribution, but you know what? Everybody was in on it, and it was fun. In their salon, they collect for Locks of Love, which helps put natural hair wigs on patients with cancer. So all of those little things, find the pieces that work for you. You can also get involved with things like the Children's Miracle Network, the United Way. I'm not a huge fan, but okay. Whatever you want to find your way to do it, be it a once a year, a once a quarter, or even if what you want to do is encourage your franchisees to do something just like Wild Birds Unlimited is doing. Support something that is close to the heart of the brand, but let them define it themselves. And for you existing brands, first of all, my hat's off to those that are so generous. I know the one that always comes to mind for me is Firehouse Subs. They just give and give and give. But make it more of an event that pulls your franchisees together, gets your staff together, that you have a commonality. Maybe you can even make it something as small as at your convention, you ask everybody to bring, you do a toy drive or a food drive. Nina Green from Genevieve's Job, Love, and Batista did a combined WFN, FBN just before the Emerging Franchisors Conference. And it was for Dress for Success that Deb just mentioned. And we were all asked to bring an article of clothing that could be donated. Even if you're traveling across the country, I had a couple of scarves that I had purchased. Throw them in your bag. Make it something small like that. But Paul, let's talk about it. And Deb, you've done Franchising Gives Back. How great is that experience?
Go, Paul.
Yeah, we're both
so excited
to talk about it.
I remember this.
It's ladies first, Deb, please.
Oh, well, thanks. It touches my heart. I get to meet and shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, folks that I will see at the convention, but not necessarily all the time. So you get to work with them, whether you're working for veterans. The last time we did it, at a school. I love the getting down, getting dirty, working hard with a group of people. I'm not all by myself. I'm with my franchise friends that I only get to see maybe once a year, and just give back to that community that we're going to be in. And this year we're going to be in San Antonio and working with the veterans. So it's like, touches my heart.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be able to participate in every single one of them. I signed on early on, and Jeff Hill from Work Capital, who really drove this in the first place, just needs a huge round of applause for all that he has done. And there was talk this year about whether or not they were going to do it, and I called to the IFA, and they've changed some things, and Franchising Gives Back is bigger and broader, and is very honors a lot of individual brands that do this. And at one point, I don't know whether they really truly thought about this, but maybe not having this or the event at the convention. And I called and said, listen, you have to. Number one, I love it. It's my favorite part of the conference. And there is something about giving back, of course, but honestly, a little selfishly, there are people there that are icons in our sector, people that I probably would never have gone up and introduced myself to. I get a little starstruck, I will admit. That when you're working and sweating and filthy, dirty, all of those barriers just go away. They evaporate. And I have made so many close friends because of the association and the meeting of them during that event that I just said, you can't take it away. You have to continue. And they, of course, have agreed to do that. And I don't think they ever really intended to take it away in the first place. But it is such a... Marianne, I think you said it, is... it basically turns an island into a peninsula and into a landmass, and it brings us all together to make us stronger as a unit, and it's a wonderful opportunity. And anyone who is even on the fence, do it. It would be my recommendation.
Boy, that's the best metaphor I've heard in a long time. I'm stealing it.
Okay, it's all yours.
And I agree with you particularly about how you meet people. The first year, we were in Florida. It was hot. It was humid. We were tearing down brick walls, building, making gardens, building garden beds, building benches. Nobody is wearing a name tag, and nobody's wearing ribbons, whether it's one or it's 1,000. You have no idea who's working next to you, just who's that sweaty guy. And then you're saying, Paul, you find out you're working with the CEOs of some of the top companies, and they're just grunting it out the same as everybody else. It's a great leveler, and it's a great reminder. I am trying to change plane tickets because I didn't think we were doing Franchising Gives Back, and I'm scheduled to arrive after the event. But I would encourage everybody to get to it. And just in this time of the year, all through the year, if you can just keep charity in your heart and don't just give it outside your system. Can you take that same soft part of your heart and remember your franchisees are sometimes going through some incredibly hard stuff. And we need to be aware of it. You should know your franchisees well enough to know when things are going wrong. And I'm going to kind of brag on Paul here. He had franchisees that had just taken over, and they'd just gotten the store going or hadn't opened it, Paul, if I got the story right, where within a very short time, this couple's son died, and then the husband was diagnosed with a fatal illness and died very quickly. And without the Wildbirds Unlimited staff being behind them, this could have been a catastrophe. But instead, this woman found strength from them, in them, went through her grieving with the support of the staff, and opened the store. And if I'm right, Paul, that store is doing pretty well these days, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. She, it is an amazing story. And dear people, and you did recall the story absolutely correctly. An unexpected death of the son who was going to be their primary manager. In addition, there was a move. They moved from St. Louis to Green Bay to be closer to family, and yeah, it was very touch and go. I of course went to the funeral, and I spent some time with her surviving children, who said, "We don't know what's going to happen," and we said, "Whatever you need to have happen is what should happen, but you have our support." And we assisted them through the whole process. Before they opened, I think we sent up a van of 6 people to go up and spend 4 days in the store, getting them ready, working with the local media for their own advertising, unpacking and pricing merchandise and putting it up on the shelves, and just assisting them with all levels of the operation. And it's not because we were worried about getting the royalties, it's because we did it because we were supposed to do it. That's what you do. It's as simple as that.
Thank you. There are times when the contract is a whole lot less important than the relationship. So I would just my bottom line is, it's true that charity begins at home. That's within your system with your franchisees. It does encourage them, and Paul, I'm going to steal that metaphor right again. You go from being islands to a peninsula to a landmass. And when you are a big, strong franchise system and you have a charity that you attach your name to, you can move mountains because of the visibility. And it can draw huge attention to causes that we're all aware of. We just luckily are rarely touched by them, and therefore they don't resonate in our day-to-day. But we all need to do a little more. This season, a season of giving all year long. So I'm just going to encourage all of you to do a little more. I have a blast doing it. I found out this year it's even more fun when you're Shanghaiing friends to do it with you. And yes, did I have to work all weekend to catch up? You bet. But I think it was worth every single minute of it. That's all I wanted to say. I think franchising gives back means more than a simple little program that we do through IFA. I'm going to encourage everybody, give back and give back a little more than you think you can.
I agree. Well, very good. Well, it was nice to see both of you on the computer screen, and we're going to be counting down the days to IFA convention in San Antonio, and looking forward to see everybody that's watching virtually. So I'll see you soon.
Great. See you in the new year. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year. Thanks, guys.
Happy New Year.
Bye.